Hey guys and girls, welcome back to another beautiful video on this beautiful channel, this beautiful day. How you guys doing? Today we're going to do something really important, which I should have done from the very start, is to make this game frame rate independent. Now, to do that, since we came so far in the game already, it's going to take some time. It's going to be a little tedious, but we'll do it. We'll make sure we'll do it. Because how it looks at 60, I locked it at 60. Now we have the thing that we can lock it at 60 and we can make it look just like this at any frame rate. You see how it's jittering and stuff? That's because we locked it at 60. It has to kill some frames because this computer is so fast. It has to go at like 1,000 frames to be smooth and nice. So that's why it's jittering. Now, when we make it frame rate independent, we're going to be able to remove this and make it look real nice just the way it's looking at that frame rate. Now go watch my videos on my tutorial series about frame rate independence and why it's important, because to sell this game I'm gonna have to make sure it can run at any frame per second without an issue. Because if I remove the frame rate limit, you know what's gonna happen. Since this computer is real fast, it's gonna go crazy fast. Everything is gonna go so fast, I'm gonna die, nothing's gonna work. And at the same time, if I had a shitty computer and I went at 20 FPS, what's gonna happen is that the whole damn thing is gonna go really slow and weird. We want it to go at the same speed, the speed it goes at 60 frames per second all the time. Okay, so we're lucky that we can do this and then make the game work with the frame rate independence at this frame rate just the way we want it. And then after that we'll just change this and see if it works. So what we want to do is we want to go into first game. You want to go into game.update, and you want to make a const float dt. Okay, you want to go into game.h and do the same thing. Boom, dt. Okay, now in main, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be making two things. We're gonna make a clock and a float dt. Okay, and just before we update, or actually in the update, we're gonna do dt. We're gonna send in dt, and since you don't have to do this, but I'll do this. Clock dot restart as seconds, because seconds gives us a float, milliseconds gives us an integer. We don't want that. We want the float. I could have just done this directly in here, but I do want it outside. I want to see what's going on, so it's a little clearer. And then we'll send in dt in here. Now the first thing we'll do is we will start off by making a multiplier. Now at 60 frames per second, our delta time is going to be about 0.016 for this computer. To find out your delta time, all you have to do is you can just std cout dt and then just new line it and then see what delta time you have every frame. So let's do that. Let's do that, and then we'll see 0.016. I know at this computer is going to be 0.016. Okay, you can check it out and just remember that number at 60 frames. Alright, just remember that number, because when the frames go up 1,000 frames, it's going to be a lot smaller. The thing that happens, I'll give you a little tutorial. The thing that happens is every second at 60 frames per second, we get 60 frames every second. So there's going to be 60 update calls. And this for example, this increment here, timer, is going to go 60 times per second. Now if we have a 1,000 frames per second, so this is going to happen 1,000 times a second. So you see how the game at every second increment is going to look different depending if it's going faster. That's why it goes so much faster, because every second there's going to be a lot more updates. Now that's why we got to scale it with this dt timer, so we're going to get the same effect no matter what frame rate we're at. So now when we have dt, for example with enemy spawn timer, we're adding it +1. Instead of doing that, we're going to add it to 1 and multiply it with dt. So this is going to give us something. Now we know that at 60 frames, which we have locked, it's 0.016. So this is going to be 0.016. I want to go to my calculator and I'm gonna see this 0.016. I want to get it back to 1. This is the add I want to do for 60 frames. So I'm gonna multiply it with a multiplier. So 1 divided by 0.016 is 60, just about 60. So I'm gonna do 60.f. That's gonna be my multiplier. Let me add that in here. Where's game? Here. Float dt multiplier and dt multiplier, and we're gonna go in game. We're gonna do this dt multiplier 60.f. So 60.f actually was 62, but we'll keep it at 60, whatever. So it's gonna be like this. It's gonna be 1, then it's gonna be multiplied by this, so it's gonna be 0.16, but it's too little at 60 frames per second to increment it by 0.016. And plus we're gonna make all of these floats now. Float. There we go. So it's gonna be too little, so we gotta multiply it. Now at other frames, it's still gonna look the same. It's just that we locked it at 60. We're working at 60 right now. Want to make it look just the way it is. If we do this, it's still gonna work at 60, but it's not gonna work at any other FPS. So when we do this, we make it smaller, we make it bigger again. So at 60, it's gonna still be 1, but at other frames, it's gonna be like 0.0 something, or it's gonna become 2, 3, 4, whatever. It's gonna be something, right? So that's the way it works. I hope you follow me on that. So every time you increment something, you're gonna have to do that. Now where's movement? Let me see, player.update. So now we're gonna change. Now we're gonna see how fast they spawn, no matter what FPS it is. So at 60 they spawn kind of slow. Now they should be spawning kind of slow still, just that they're still going fast. They're spawning at the same rate, just that they're moving really fast. So let me start off by making enemy update. Const float dt. We're gonna go ahead and do the same thing in enemy cpp, just like that, dt, and then we're gonna do a dt multiplier equals 60.f. We'll still keep it 60.f. Oh, whoops, sorry about that. dt multiplier. Then we're just gonna do this dt multiplier equals 60.f, and we'll go down here, and there we go, HP. So it takes the damage. That's fine. That's fine. This is where we want to change it. So 10 seems to be our speed and the direction of it. Okay. So, and then we're just gonna multiply it by dt, and then multiply it by dt multiplier. This. So that's gonna get us back to whatever we were at. So dt times 10. Let's go back to calculator. So 10 multiplied by 0.016, which is gonna be multiplied by 60, gives us about 10 again. Okay, so that's what we want to do. We want to multiply it by the multiplier and the dt. There we go. So this is gonna have it move at the same speed. Now in game, we gotta send in dt in enemies update down here. Let me do something. View toolbars. Let me see. Wait. Properties window. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. File, project, properties, general. Nope, that's not it. Well, whatever. I wanted to get the line numbers. I'm sure you guys know how to do that. I'm not really sure how to do this. Options. And dark. It's got to be around here. I don't know why it's not showing line numbers. Extensions and updates, projects and source control, text editor, general, file extensions, C++ general, line numbers. Okay, I don't know how I found that, but I did. There you go, guys and girls. Now you can see what line I'm at. So there was DT. I'll send it in. I'll send that in, and we'll see if it works. So what I did was, did I remove frame rate? Yes, I did. So how does it look at 60? How does it look at 60? This is the important thing. It looks like this. And if I remove that again, let me see how long this video is, by the way. Alright, we're good. We'll go about 15 minutes. We'll be fine with 15. And then, see, it looks the same. But my character moved to hell because I haven't scaled it yet. But everything, see how the character moves to hell? But the enemies are now scaling to the frame. Oh, whoops. So we'll go back to 60. And we're going to go through 60 and change everything for our bullet class first because it's smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and bullet. I'm going to send const float dt in here. Const. And I'm going to send it in here as well. And in movement, because here's where it's important. Just like that. And I'm going to send in dt there. And the same thing, I want a float dt multiplier, and I'm gonna go up this dt multiplier equals 60.f because that's what we need at 60 frames per second for my computer. But to find out what it is on your computer, you're gonna have to do some calculation stuff. So if at 60 frames without anything you want to move a character by 20 floats, then you're going to multiply it with your delta time that you get. So 20 multiplied by 0.016 for me, for example, you got 32. Alright, it's going to be at 32, but you don't want to move it at 32. You want to move it at 20. So how do you get back to 20? Well, you do, let me see, 32. So 0.32, how much are you going to have to multiply that with? So 20 divided by 0.32 is 62.5 for me. It's always 62.5 to get back to about 20. Alright? For your computer, it's going to be different. So if you have a delta time of, you're moving it by 20, you want to move it by 20, no matter what, you want it to have that effect. You're going to multiply it with a delta time of 0.0, say that you have a higher FPS, like 0.05, so it's 0.1. You want to move it at 20, so 20 divided by 0.01, or 0.1, is 200. So your multiplier is going to be at 200. Alright? That's how it works. If you wanna make it look like that. If your delta time at 60 FPS is that, then you're going to have to follow my instructions. So I hope I'm not confusing you. I'm just going to stop talking. I'm just going to keep working. That's my multiplier. And I'm going to go into move. And here, where I'm actually adding something, I'm doing something every frame that has to be frame rate independent. I'm going to multiply it by dt and then this multiplier. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Just going to go ahead and do the same thing on y, and we should be good. Let me just do this so it's a little clearer what I'm doing. There we go. So I'm adding the direct acceleration multiplied by direction multiplied by all of these things. This is fine because it's not an addition, it is setting it to the max velocity, and it's always going to be the same no matter what frame. Alright, and just at how many times it moves per frame also needs to be multiplied by dt. There we go. So every time you increment something, every time you finally move something, you have to make sure you multiply by dt. And now our bullet at 60 FPS should be looking like normal. Oh, whoops. dt. Let me send in dt there. Bam. Alright, let's see. This is at 60 FPS. Okay, so that's looking good. That's looking normal. I think there's one more thing, if I remember correctly, we're gonna have to change. Initial velocity. That's not a big deal. Initial velocity is okay. Initial velocity is alright. Because it's set to that no matter what. Yep, that's fine. Okay. So now we're just going to go in a game. And we're going to change it per usual to... Where is it? There we go. We're going to remove the frame rate limit. And we're going to shoot. And we're going to make sure the bullets go just as far. Okay, you know why this is happening? Because my shoot timer isn't done, but they're moving the same speed they should. Alright, now if I set this to 20 frames per second, we're still gonna get a nice little... The bullet's still gonna go as far as it should go. See? It's just that it's slower. Now at 30, it should look a little more normal. It should look a little more normal. Let's try this out. Yep, it looks a little more normal. Alright. And at 60, we're back to complete normal. See? We're back to normal. And if I just have to try this again. See how fast it was. Yeah, that's insane. Okay, no, we don't want that. So, alright. So we're going to have to go into player. And now bullet's fine. Now all we have left is player. Player.update accessories. Const float DT. Because the gun actually moving and shooting, the animation has to be set with DT as well. Combat, movement, and update. So just about everything needs DT. Let me see. Combat and update window. All this stuff. Just send in DT. 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 So let me just make sure I send in everywhere. And in game as well. I send it in. Here. DT. Now we're gonna go into player. Player. We're gonna make our DT multiplier. Float DT multiplier. Because it is so core to this whole thing, we're gonna keep it on top. Player, whoops. DT. This DT multiplier equals 60.f because it's still the same. And then that was the only one. Okay, good. Now, here we go. Multiplied by DT. Multiplied by DT, multiplied by multiplier. This multiplier. Plus multiplied by DT multiplied by this multiplier. Since we're moving the gun, we're gonna move it every time we shoot. We have to, every time you move something, you gotta multiply with DT on your multiplier. And that should be good. Set position is fine. This is fine. Set positions, player center, okay, that's fine. Key pressed, here we go. So the acceleration and direction, again, here we got a multiplier with DT and the multiplier. Here we got a multiplier with DT. Wait, what is this? Down? Why do I have an X thing here? We don't need that. And then go ahead and multiply this with DT and multiplier. This as well. And this as well. Now everything is fine except for this, which we also have to go ahead and multiply. Multiply just about everything. Just like that. So let me see if 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. All of these drag thingies are multiplied. Now we're gonna have to multiply this, the final movement, and then the position is fine. Okay, so that's good. Let me just go ahead and run this at 60 frames to see if it's regular, because it should be. Okay, it is. Good. Now if I move, wait, I'm just gonna fix my timers as well. Combat, 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 combat. Here we go. So shoot timer greater than shoot timer max. We're good. We're fine. Okay, it's gonna move minus 30 no matter what. That is fine, because that is just one set move. It's not gonna always move. It's just gonna move once. Every time we fire, it's gonna move once and then it's gonna go back. That's why we don't have to use DT here. It's not constantly moving depending on your frame rate. It's just put back a little bit. So it should be set position actually, but move, since it's just once, it works for me. Let me see. Let me see. This video is gonna be a little longer. That's fine. Current weapon. Pushback, dual. Where's shoot timer 0? Where do I increment shoot timer? Combat. In update. Here we go. So shoot timer plus equals 1 multiplied by DT multiplied by multiplier plus equals 1. So all our timers are now correct as they should be at 60 frames. Let me just shoot and see if that works. Okay, it's a little less than what I'd like it to be. Okay, it's a little less. Where's my timer? Shoot timer. Shoot timer max. If I just put it to, oh, because it's an integer, I'm sorry. You gotta change all these to float. There you go. Alright. And .f. Now it should look just like it should regularly on. Yep, now it's fine. Okay. Now everything should be fine and independent of the frame rate. So if I remove frame rate, if I remove this, it's gonna look the same. And now we have a frame rate independent game. Now we have a frame rate independent game. It's a lot smoother. It's much smoother at uncapped frame rate, and it's just beautiful. It's just working just the way it should, and that is frame rate independence, guys and girls. Let me just show you this at 20 FPS to make it slow, like if it's lagging, you know, and it should be the same. It's the same basically. It's just that it's lagging. You see? That's how it works. That's how games work. And yeah, so I'm gonna keep it at about 200 now, and the multiplier is gonna be 60. We're good, because no matter what, that thing on my computer, the multiplier 60.25 actually, it should be 62.5. I could make it 62.5. I mean, why not? Why not? And just show you that. Then it's gonna be just the way it was at 60. Enemy F. So enemy bullet. Let's do enemy player and game. So 62.5 was perfect for my computer. Now it's just the way it was at 60. It's looking great no matter what. So that's how it works, guys and girls. Thanks for watching. I hope that was good, and we'll keep working on this in the next video, making some more stuff, leveling and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.